Now, and he will be addressing this massive crowd very shortly. Professor, now Turkey has been actively involved in diplomatic efforts regarding the Israel-Gaza conflict, not just now, but even throughout the past few decades. How do you assess Turkey's role in mediating this conflict, and what could be its potential impact on achieving a ceasefire?
First of all, Türkiye has declared, the president has declared that he does not see Palestinian resistance as terrorist operations, as terrorist groups. That's also very significant because here he is recognizing not only Palestinians in their humanity to resist their occupiers, their colonizers, but he's also acknowledging their right for resistance. And I think that makes Turkey unique when compared to other countries. That if Turkey can actually step in, I think that would be a tremendous amount of help for Palestinians, but also Turkey because of its historic role.
All right, Professor, sorry to interrupt you there. I believe the Turkish president has started his address. Let's listen in.
Distinguished head of the Nationalist Movement Party, Devlet Bahçeli, distinguished president of the TRNC, dear brother Ersin Tatar, valuable heads of political parties, valuable guests attending our rally from abroad, dear brothers and sisters, I greet you all with the most heartfelt sentiments, love, longing and affection. I would like to thank every one of you for holding on to the Palestinian cause and being indeed a source of hope for the oppressed people in Gaza, in Palestine. I would like to thank every one of you on behalf of myself and my nation. At the outset of my remarks, I would like to commemorate all the veterans and all the martyrs and all the heroes of this nation who gave us this land as their homeland, from the Anatolian Selçukians to the Ottoman Empire all the way to the Turkish Republic. We have left our marks on this homeland and we have founded our states in these lands, and we commemorate all those who contributed to the foundation of our republics and our states. In the skies of our geography, our flags are rising high, and we have many heroes who worked very hard in order to make sure that the adhans can be heard in this geography, and I would like to thank every one of them for their valuable efforts and endeavors. Dear brothers and sisters, today, right here, you are showing to the whole world that we are such a grand nation. You have proven it once again. We are such a great nation, we are such a great state. That's why our challenges and our efforts and endeavors cannot be limited to this geography. Tomorrow, we will be marking the centennial anniversary of the foundation of our republic. Tomorrow, we will celebrate it all together, but today, unfortunately, our hearts are wrenched for Gaza, and we will shout it out very loudly to the whole world that our hearts are wrenched because of the events unfolding in Gaza. Just like in the past, in the Caucasus, in the Balkans, in the Eastern Mediterranean, in the Mid-Asia, Southern Asia, and also in all around the African continent, we were present as a nation, and we have come to this world as a nation who taught everyone else what nationalism actually means. So in a nutshell, wherever our horizon reaches out, Our brothers and sisters are indeed listening to us, and we are extending our helping hand to our brothers and sisters in all those geographies. And whenever it is necessary, we have indeed helped our brothers and sisters beyond our borders, and that's why we are alert today for our brothers and sisters in Gaza. Unfortunately, among the politicians of this country, there are some unfortunate people who left Hamas for Netanyahu. And they claim that as Netanyahu is a terrorist, Hamas is a terrorist as well. How dare you? What is Hamas? Who is Hamas? They do not know. They are such ignorant, such unfortunate people who have no idea about who Hamas is. And the people who have been voting for them should think twice. So hopefully the history will not make us live what our brothers and sisters have been going through. We have been following the sorrows and the pains of our brothers and sisters that they had to endure, from Crimea to Karabakh, from Bosnia to Kirkuk, from Palestine to Turkestan, from Afghanistan to Chechnya, in many different geographies. We have indeed had our teardrops, and we didn't spend our life in vain. Today there are some people who claim that Gaza has nothing to do with us, and they think that Gaza is far away. And unfortunately they express it very openly, stating that Gaza has nothing to do with Türkiye. However, only 100 years ago, whatever Adana meant for this country, Gaza meant the same thing. Whatever Edirne meant for us, Skopje meant the same thing. Clearly, whatever it meant for us, Selanik meant the same thing. Whatever Mardin meant for us, Mosul meant the same thing for us, as Gaziantep meant so much to us, and Aleppo meant the same thing for us. And just like any other provinces, Gaza was an inseparable part of this homeland in the past, so you can easily understand where we have reached so far. When you visited the Çanakkale martyrdom, the graveyard, do not forget to visit the tombstones and take a closer look to what is written onto those tombstones. You will realize that there are martyrs from Balıkesir and Şanlıurfa, but you will also see that our martyrs are also laying in the same ground from Skopje and Gaza. In the list of the Çanakkale martyrs, you will realize that the people from Gaza, 53 of them have been martyred. As a result, Gaza most probably has given the most and the highest number of martyrs in the Çanakkale battle. So, unfortunately, they have separated us from these lands that we loved very much. They didn't separate us from these lands only physically, but at the same time, they tried to take those lands from our brains and from our hearts. They played every kind of game that you can think of. Millions of our people have stored their lives, and millions of our people had to flee from their homes and took refuge in Anatolia, and we have never forgotten the lesson that we have drawn out from those days. In order to support our brothers and sisters in Gaza, we have gathered together in this wonderful rally. So, we will never allow that another Gaza event to unfold. We should preserve this ambition. Dear brothers and sisters, without a doubt, Turkey, with its history, with its culture, with its geography, and with its civilization, is a grand state. At the same time, Turkey, in addition to all its features, is the target of many dirty projects, and our country is being targeted by those grand projects. So, no crisis that is erupting either in the north, south, east, or western part of our homeland is independent from those dirty games played against our country. When I said that Hamas is not a terrorist organization, Israel was uneasy about it. Well, we were not expecting anything else. We knew that you will be bothered to hear this sentence. That's why we have expressed it very clearly and very openly. What do we say? We believed in this cause. We have faith in this cause. Only the God will be victorious. So here we are not only condemning this massacre in Gaza, but at the same time we are defending our future and our independence. Sultan Abdul Hamid II indeed put a lot of effort and endeavor to protect this geography. The Israeli administrators, take a look at what they say. You will realize that they are coming up with a map of treason covering our homeland even. In 1947, what was the status quo for Gaza and Palestine, and what is today? And I wonder how Israel seized all those lands. You are an occupier, you are an invader, you are an organization, and the Turkish nation knows it very well. The West is indebted to you, but Türkiye has no debt whatsoever to you. That's why we can speak very freely. Since Turkey is not indebted to you, Erdogan can speak very freely. However, and unfortunately, every Western country is indebted to you. That's why they cannot speak freely. They visit you. And by visiting you, they are almost asking for your forgiveness, if you will. So we do not have such an agenda. We are standing with the oppressed. What the poet says, I cannot applaud the oppression. I cannot love the oppressor. And I cannot swear on the past arbitrarily. If someone attacked on my ancestor, I will asphyxiate them. If I cannot drown them, I will sack them. And I cannot be advocating for the oppressors. And I cannot preach the injustice. From the day that I was born, I always loved the independence. If I am easygoing person, I'm not a sheep to be slaughtered. So in the face of oppression, we always stood with the oppressed. and the downtrodden. So when the Jerusalem was invaded, we have visited the tombstone of Sultan Selahaddin, and they are the ones who are vomiting their hatred against Sultan Selahaddin, if you will. So we are standing against those who are trying to take the revenge of the 1453, but their ambitions are grumbling in their gizzards. We are not forgetting the names of those who has written to the walls saying that we will take the revenge of 1453, but we will never leave this country to those freeloaders. So we are standing against those people who are trying to provoke the Armenians and the Greeks in different parts of our country so that they can destroy this nation. So we are standing against their modern versions. So we are standing against those people who are trying to destroy us culturally, socially, and economically. So they still have their business unfinished against us. So we should be aware of this reality. But there are the ones who are trying to cover this treason via carelessness, and they are sharpening the swords of the infidels, but we will never allow them to twist the realities and the facts. Are we on the same page? Yes, we will not allow them. As you can see, as you follow yourself, yesterday, for the civilians that have been murdered in the Ukrainian and Russian war, there were many people who had teardrops, but today they are indeed following with silence for all those kids who have been losing their lives in Gaza. So I ask them this question. You had your teardrops for the children who had been murdered in Ukraine, but why are you keeping your silence for those kids who lost their lives in the Gaza event? So I am calling on the Western countries. So are you trying to provoke another crusade and a conflict between the crusaders and the crescent lovers? So if this is your intention, you should know that this nation hasn't died, and this nation is standing firm and still. And with the same level of commitment and determination, we will do the same whatever we have done in Libya, in Karabakh, and we will do the same thing in the Middle East. Even this picture standing in front of me tells us a lot of things. So we are against all those double standards and all those hypocrisies, and we have seen those hypocrisies and double standards during the attacks by Fethullah terrorist organization and PKK. So under the disguise of fighting against the terrorism, they have come to this land from tens of thousands of kilometers away, and they have murdered millions of people brutally, but they stated that we cannot protect our own citizens and our homeland. So let me speak very clearly and openly. For the last 10 years, whatever we have done in our fight against terrorism, whatever success story that we have written, we have achieved all of them despite them. So with the understanding of we can come at night all of a sudden, We will continue to march ahead on the road that we have drawn for ourselves. Dear brothers and sisters, as being your president, I would like to state that we love our nation. We are ready to give our lives for this nation. And we are always ready to walk this path together with our people, with our nation. As we have written many epics and sagas in the history, if God is willing, this nation is ready to write another epic. Dear youth, you know whom we mean. So the Europe, the US and all their pawns, I mean the West, as Mehmet Akif Ersoy defined as the single-toothed, single-fanged monster. If you put some politicians with consciousness aside, this massacre taking place in Gaza is the product of the West. Think about this innocent child saying that I will recognize my mother from her hair. How can we forget such an image? They gave full support to the children murderers, and they tried to cover it under the excuses of democracy and human rights. Everyone knows that Israel is a pawn to be sacrificed when the time is up. So, how can we explain this atrocity of those who had been subject to such atrocities in the past? They are the ones who are also contributing to this massacre by overlooking to the conceit of Israel, because Israel cannot take a step without their support, otherwise it will be a failed state. Sometimes they indeed both the West, and sometimes they planted the seeds of instigation, as in the case of Israel. We can see that Israel has used many political tools, so we know them very well, and we also know that no such games will last forever. And this sneaky and insidious tactics of West have been discovered already, so we know this very well, the best, if you will. And we also know who has been backing up all those terrorists in the northern and southern part of Iraq and Syria. And we know who backs up the Fethullah terrorist organization, PYD and PKK. Israel is also backing them up. So they gave monetary support, and at the same time they gave the armed support. We know this very well. But our nation should know this very well. So we also know what kind of games are being played in the backstages of the US and European politics. So they are touting about being liberal, and they are touting a about being the advocate for the human rights and the free market, but we also know their hidden agendas, and we also know how they are trying to make the Türkiye tumble. So we have been witnessing the same facts and realities in Gaza. The West is trying to legitimize the murders of the children and women, so they have mobilized themselves, from their politicians to their medias. For 22 days straight on, Israel has been perpetrating war crimes. So we will be announcing you to the whole world as a war criminal, Israel. So we are preparing ourselves for that. And we have been working on this matter. And we will introduce Israel as the war criminal to the whole world. But the Western leaders are not even responding against Israel, but they are not even calling on Israel to undersign a ceasefire. So I would like to call upon the West. How many women should die? How many children should die? How many elderly should die so that you can urge Israel to undersign a ceasefire? So with this attitude, the West has accumulated a lot of sins, which is going way over his head. Of course, every country has the right to defend itself, but where is the justice in this case? In Gaza, it is not about defending your own country. They are openly murdering people. So they are making the people in Gaza subject to poverty, and there is no water and electricity in the region. So they are collectively punishing them, and they are trying to eradicate all our brothers and sisters in Gaza. So have you seen the situation, the status quo in Gaza? So there is no light. Everywhere is in darkness. They have nothing to eat. The hospitals do not have electricity. The hospitals are under darkness. And imagine they are carrying out the operations without the use of anesthetics, and they are carrying out their surgeries under darkness. I'm calling upon the whole world. You have been witnessing all those facts and all those realities, and the General Secretary of the United Nations has been shouting out, but you don't hear. You are blind, you are deaf to those realities and facts, and you have never listened to those facts and realities. And I said in the Davos meeting, I said to him that you also know how to kill. So these are the ones who know how to kill. Yesterday they were drowning each other. I mean, in the past they were massacring the Jewish people in the gas chambers, and they were indeed wiping out all those provinces with the bombs, and a similar mentality is being shown in Gaza today. In the past, it was present in Bosnia, in Karabakh, in Iraq, in Syria, in Arakan, in Rohingya, in many parts of Africa. We have seen similar oppressions taking place. So they are either direct or indirect perpetrators of such savageness and such barbarity. That's why Gaza is not the cause of those people who are trying to survive in the region. It is a cause for all of us. And I also would like to respond to those who are trying to take this cause out of the Islamic world. So they might play their little dirty games, and they might try to present their twisted perception and mentality. and trying to put it in front of the Gaza cause. Do not do it, because innocent children, innocent women are dying in Gaza. So what goes on in Gaza is a war crime. Do not be a partner in crime to all those war crimes. In the recent history, there has been many oppressions in our surrounding vicinity. Take your lesson out of that. So what does the famous Palestinian poet said? I shouted against this brutal enemy. If I die, let the buck dig my body. So no eagle will be born out of the ant's egg. Snake will give birth to snake only. I know the names of the barbaric people. Only I will be standing against them. Only I will be the one standing against them. I am the heart of the youth. I am the heart of the white horses who will march in those lands. As we know that no eagle will be born out of the ant eggs, we are not expecting mercy out of the consciousness of the West, and we are not expecting any good results to be yielded from the agenda of the oppressors. Since this is the case, independently from the religious sects and beliefs, as the nation, as the people of this geography, we should be one, we should be together, and we should act in solidarity. Otherwise, we will be facing with the same unfortunate destiny one by one. So I am calling upon all the people and all the nations in the region to stand in solidarity. So, dear brothers and sisters, from the attacks on 7th of October by Israel, more than 3,600 kids have been martyred, and the total number of the martyrs reached 7,700. Among those martyrs, 500 healthcare professionals have been murdered, 25 journalists have been massacred, and 38 United Nations officials have been martyred as well. 19,734 brothers and sisters have been injured, and even their hospitals have been bombed. This is such a massacre. The bazaars, the schools, the streets have been bombed. So any building who is standing has been subject to the attacks of those barbaric bombings. So the bombings have been going on without any interruption. More than 200,000 households have been wiped out, and more than 30,000 buildings have been destroyed. So no brothers and sisters in Gaza has any shop or any building to take refuge. The electricity and the canalization and the sewage infrastructure have been destroyed totally. And they didn't even allow humanitarian aid to be dispatched to the region. That's why from electricity to the food and the hygiene kits, no humanitarian aid has been dispatched to the region. So as of yesterday, many attacks and many bombings have been carried out in full insanity. Despite this, the people in Gaza has shown such a wisdom, and this will be written in the history as a great resistance against the oppression. So, as our ancestors said, the belief and the piety is such a great resource for all of us. And as the poet says, The heart without a piety and belief will be nothing but a burden in our chest. So the patience and determination is such a great source, it will even penetrate into marble just like the drop of water. So the Palestine resistance, of course, will overcome all those challenges, and it will be turning into a story of great courage. So this spirit and this excitement has always been with the Palestinian people. So the disproportionate use of force by Israel and the inconsistent stance of the regional countries, unfortunately, the Palestinian people couldn't receive the support that they deserved. So let me explain and describe the determination of the Palestinian people in their resistance. I will be defending every inch of my homeland with my teeth. I don't want any other homeland other than my homeland. Even if they hang me, I will not ask for another homeland. I am still here. I am the captive to my love, and I am after of my homeland, my home. They cannot destroy me. No matter how hard they come on my shoulders, I will be standing here. I will hold on to you. I will hold on to my homeland. I will continue to defend my homeland, every inch of it, with my fangs, with my feet. So our brothers and sisters in Gaza are ready to defend their homelands with their feet. Are we ready? So do you think we will do what it takes? This nation will do what it takes. They have done in the past, and this nation will do it today and even tomorrow if God is willing. So we should be ready for it. So none of the Palestinian people who fled from their own homeland couldn't return back to their homeland. So they say the same thing for the people in Gaza. What do they say? They say to the people in Gaza, go away, go to the desert, go to another country, go to another crossing point. There are some people who listen to them, and they are being bombed because they only know how to kill. Despite all those bombs by the oppressors, we see that the people in Gaza are determined not to leave their homelands, and I salute them with respect on behalf of my nation. So I also believe with all my heart that the verses of this famous poet is uttered from the mouth of millions of people in Gaza. My dear brothers and sisters, what does the poet say? You can send missiles, we will throw away the stones. So the sword is in your hand and the blood will be shed by us. The fire will come from you and we will lose even our lives and go away from this homeland. Do not put dirt on our pigeon hands and take your hands away from our bread and our salt, from our water and from our soil. Take whatever you need from our blood and just get out of our homeland. Hopefully, we will be seeing the days when the oppressors will get out of the lands of the Palestinian people. So we have never seen that the rule of the oppressors lasted forever throughout the human history. Of course, the oppression of Israel, which has been going on for 45 years without being interrupted, will come to an end. So the Westerners will leave them, and Israel will be staying in the region with the oppressed that it has been oppressing for the last 75 years. Israel, do not forget this. The Republic of Türkiye, as it has been the case 500 years ago, or just as it has been the case during the Second World War, Türkiye will also be the hope for those oppressed people. Once again, I would like to reiterate my call to the Israeli government. So with such an attitude, with such rubbish rhetoric, you cannot tarnish the feeling of compassion among Turkish people, because rest assured, your sons and your grandsons and your granddaughters will need the compassion of Türkiye. They will need Türkiye. So in order to make sure that the helping hand is extended to you again, listen to what we have to say and respond positively to our call for dispatching the humanitarian aid to the oppressed, and listen to our call for ceasefire and peace, and listen to our calls and take a positive step for the future of your sons and daughters. We wholeheartedly believe that there will be no losers from a fair peace and just peace, and that's how we act, and we are calling upon all our interlocutors to share the same mentality. Dear brothers and sisters, from the day Israel was founded, Israel has carried out many attacks, and due to those attacks, many of our brothers and sisters have either lost their lives or their homeland. So there is this Palestine reality. Against this oppression, there are the Palestinians who have been fighting with their foot, with their fingernails and with their fists, and they are showing all this resistance against this oppression. And the Palestine is what they deserve, like the milk of their mothers. Of course, in such a climate, so many unfortunate events have been unfolded. However, none of those unfortunate events broke or delegitimized the sacred resistance of the Palestinian people. Israel, the votes have been counted in the United Nations, and what was the result? 120 countries in the United Nations 120 countries in the United Nations said something to the Israel. Say yes to ceasefire. And 40 countries voted in abstention. Only 13 or 14 countries sided with Israel. So, Israel, you are left alone in this world, and you will continue to be the convict of loneliness. So this is the case, whatever you do. So right now, the United Nations has taken this verdict and taken this decision. Hopefully, we would like to reiterate once again that we are, of course, not appreciating and even condemning all of those attacks on the civilians in the Israeli lands. There is the morality even in war, and they didn't even announce how many civilians have lost their lives in the Israeli lands, but it doesn't matter. Every civilian who has lost their lives indeed upset us, but I wonder whether Israel has been upset after the civilians losing their lives, and Israel is not upset when people are dying, because they know how to kill, and that's what they say. But you should know that inevitably you will be paying a huge price for murdering those civilians. As the saying goes, the rights of the oppressed will be granted eventually. So one day, the rights of those oppressed that you have violated will hit you back. So right now, in Yeni Kapı, in National Garden, I have been witnessing the rightful stance of my nation, and I also believe that you are also angry against all those events unfolding. So on behalf of myself and my nation, I greet your anger and your rightful stance, and I sincerely kneel before all of you. And I, of course, condemn the fact that children and women are murdered in Gaza, and you have done the same thing, and as 1.5 million you have gathered in this rally. May God's blessings be upon all of you, and may God help us all. Thank you very much. So let's pray for the souls of our all martyrs.
Sayın Cumhurbaşkanımıza konuşmalarından dolayı teşekkür ediyoruz.
A powerful speech there by the Turkish leader, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, voicing opposition to Israel's aggression in Gaza and showing support for Palestinians in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. Let me just quickly recap some of the important statements made by the Turkish president. He said, those shedding crocodile tears for civilians killed in Ukraine and Russia war are silently watching deaths of thousands of innocent children in Gaza. So it's clear that the Turkish president was very critical of the West. The Turkish president also said that the main culprit behind the massacre unfolding in Gaza is the West. Furthermore, the president says that Türkiye is going to introduce Israel to the world as a war criminal. So very important and crucial statements made there by the Turkish president. For more on this, TRT World's Yusuf Erim joins me now live from the Great Palestine Rally here in Istanbul. Yusuf, good to see you. So, like I said, some very important and crucial statements made by the Turkish president. Correct me if I'm wrong, what we witnessed today here in Istanbul, in fact, what we are witnessing today happen here in Istanbul, is perhaps the loudest and strongest opposition to Israel's aggression since the